If you Google for remote places in the world, Pitcairn Island often comes out as number 1. It's in the middle of the South Pacific Ocean, and to reach it, it's rather a complicated trip. Will an Airtag survive such a long trip? And will it still work when it arrives there? So how to send an Airtag to Pitcairn Island if you don't know anybody there? I did a bit of Googling, and despite its 48 inhabitants and remoteness, they do have an online presence. I found a pizza place, a gallery selling handmade products, and even a local Pitcairn newspaper where a turtle going for a walk is making a headline. One of the websites that caught my eye was the one of a homestay named Big Flower. I remember looking at this website before many years ago when I was looking into visiting the island. I decided to try my luck and send them an email explaining what an Airtag is and that I would like to send one out there. The next day I got a reply. Hi Alex, thanks for touching base. Sure, we'll be more than happy to help out. Look forward to testing it from the middle of the South Pacific. Great, so that went very smooth. The logistics for this Airtag trip will be first sending it to Auckland in New Zealand to a middleman. He will check the battery, and if the battery is still okay, he will forward it to the Pitcairn office in Auckland. They will eventually arrange for transport to the harbour of Tauranga, and from there it will travel by ship to Pitcairn Island. Central in this whole story is the cargo ship Silver Supporter that sails to Pitcairn about 4 times a year. According to the schedule, it will leave New Zealand on July 9th. The trip will be over 5,000 kilometers and takes 2 weeks. With less than a month to go, I cycled to the mailbox to mail the Airtag to the edge of the world. Good luck, my little friend. After mailing the Airtag, it made its way to the International Mail Center in The Hague the next day. It spent 1 more day here and then it moves to Amsterdam Airport. This is looking very promising. But then something weird happens. It starts to move south and it eventually ends up in Luxembourg at the airport. From Luxembourg it takes a flight to Bangkok, followed by a flight to Taiwan where I pick it up again. It stays in Taipei for a few days and then flies eventually to New Zealand. It takes another 10 days before the Airtag is delivered to the middleman. He takes a few pictures, swaps the battery and sends it out to the Pitcairn Island office. It arrives there 3 days before the ship's departure. It's a large building. Will they still get the envelope in time? Kerry writes me a day before the ship's departure. The office have your envelope. It's being delivered to the ship in Tauranga. So I wait for movement. And then nothing happens. It didn't make the ship and it stays in Auckland. I catch a lucky break. An extra trip will be made by the ship in 5 weeks. And so the long wait will start again. In the meantime, I notice the battery of the Airtag is degrading faster than usual. It stays at the island office for another few weeks and then eventually I see the Airtag making its way to the harbour in Tauranga. After the ship has left the harbour of Tauranga, I get a ping from the South Pacific Ocean. Someone on the ship has an iPhone and he probably walked by the bag with mail. 10 days pass by without any updates, and then September 1st, someone from Tahiti, who has been closely following my Airtag adventures, tells me he can see the vessel is at Pitcairn. And sure enough, a day later, I get my first ping from Pitcairn Island. It's at the post office in Adamstown. Kerry retrieves the envelope and sends me the first 2 pictures from Pitcairn. He then passes the Airtag to his cousin Andy, who is quite a big Apple fan, and while the Airtag is in Andy's house, I receive hundreds of updates. Andy is the floor manager of the general store in Pitcairn. I was curious how the Pitcairn infrastructure looks like. He brought me up to speed. Internet is provided by satellite and costs a whopping $14,000 a month for a 5 megabyte connection. They share this connection with all the people on the island. From the satellite dish there is a link to a cell phone tower up on the hill. People have 4G modems in their house with each their own SIM card, and this is how they use the internet. Despite it being a 4G network, cell phones don't work on the island anymore. They worked in the past, but it caused connection problems on the 4G modems. This is how a speed test looks like on Pitcairn Island. No doubt that the upcoming Starlink coverage will be a major upgrade for them. Electricity is provided by a grid on the island, but it doesn't run after 10 p.m. and starts again at 6 a.m. Some people like Andy have solar panels and they store their energy in batteries so they have power 24/7. Every house collects rainwater and that is used for drinking and showering. After a while the Airtag got passed back to Kerry and he started to take photos for me of the Airtag being in Pitcairn. The Airtag is in every of these photos, so make sure you pay attention. And so my plan to send an Airtag to Pitcairn was successful. One thing that keeps on surprising me with these Airtag adventures is how strangers are willing to help me out. I would like to say thank you to Carrie and Andy for being such great hosts to the Airtag. This specific Airtag has been a bit troublesome and we had quite a bit of battery issues. But no worries, Carrie, help is on the way. And inside is something to show my gratitude to you and all the other inhabitants of Pitcairn. With some luck, it will reach you on Christmas Day. I'm experimenting with sending automated updates to a Telegram channel. You can join it. Its name is Travel by Envelope. It's still experimental, so you might want to mute it now and then. If you want to see the live location of all my Airtags, please go to travelbyenvelope.com.